You are 26 years old, and you are standing at an ATM on Sylvania Avenue in Toledo, Ohio, at 11:40 on a Tuesday night, asking a machine for $40 it will not give you. The screen says your balance is $18.11. You press 40 again anyway, the way you press an elevator button that is already lit, and the machine makes the same flat electronic sound and shows you the same number. $18, 18. A 1, then an 8, and then nothing behind it. No zeros at all. Behind you, a man in a Carhartt jacket is waiting his turn and pretending not to watch, and you take your card and the receipt you do not need, and you walk back to a Corolla that will not start on the first try. You are 26. You will spend the next 30 years adding zeros to that number, one at a time, and every one of them will cost you something you did not know you were spending. This is your life measured in the only unit that ever really counted it, the number of zeros standing behind the 1. You start with none, you will end with 9. Here is what each one costs. 01, the overdraft. You are 26, and the $18 has to last until Friday, which is 4 days that each contain a lunch you will skip. You work days at a tire warehouse off Matzinger Road, loading Michelins and off-brand radials onto a truck driven by a man named Hollis, who calls everyone Chief and means it as a small kindness. At night, you drive for 2 different delivery apps in that same Corolla, 190,000 miles. A check engine light you have decided to read as a nightlight instead of a warning. Your brother Danny sleeps on the other side of a wall so thin you can hear him at 2 a.m. deciding not to ask you for money. The overdraft fee is $35. You have paid it 11 times this year. Do that arithmetic. And you do on the back of a receipt because you cannot afford not to. And you find you have paid the bank $385 for the privilege of having no money. That is the first law you ever learn about the stuff. Money charges rent to the exact people who cannot pay it. You keep a spiral notebook in the glove box. In it, you write every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out, in pencil, and not because it changes anything yet. You write it down because the number is the one thing in your life that will hold still and let you look at it, and looking at it is the only power you have. One Thursday, you clear $91 in tips between 9 and midnight, and you do not spend a cent of it. You sit in the parking lot of a closed Kroger with the heater off to save gas and watch the balance say $109, and you feel something that is not happiness. It is closer to the feeling of a tire finally catching on ice. You are not moving yet, but the ground is finally there. Your mother calls that same week to ask if you can cover $40 of her light bill, and you do it before she finishes the sentence, and then you sit in the dark of the Corolla and recalculate the whole 4 days without the 40, and you find another lunch to skip. You do not tell her that. You will never tell her that. It is the first time you understand that having money and having none are the same arithmetic run at different speeds, and that the number on the screen is the only thing that decides which one you are living. 02, the first 1,000. You are 28. The notebook has 40 pages filled now, front and back. You have learned the delivery app Surge Map the way a fisherman learns a coastline, and you have started buying broken things from people who have given up on them. A Craigslist snowblower for $40 that runs fine after you clean the carburetor and sells for $220, a pallet of defective Bluetooth speakers, 90 units, that turned out to each be missing a single 9-cent resistor. You solder at the kitchen table under a desk lamp until Danny stands in the doorway and complains about the smell of flux, and you tell him the smell is money, and he does not laugh, but he stops complaining. The one that puts you over is a set of 4 winter tires a man in Perrysburg lists for free because he does not want to haul them to the dump. You drive an hour each way to take them off his hands, scrub the road salt off in Danny's driveway with a wire brush and a garden hose in 28-degree cold until your fingers stop working, and sell them for $340 to a nurse who needs them by Monday. Danny holds the flashlight the whole time and does not once ask for a cut, and you give him $60 anyway, and he takes it in a way that tells you exactly how close to the edge he is too. The account crosses $1,000 on a Thursday in February. $1,004.72. You take a screenshot of it. It is the first photograph you have ever deliberately taken of a number, and you catch yourself looking at it the way other men look at pictures of women. 3 zeros. $1,000 does not change your life. You still skip the lunch, out of a habit that has outlived its reason, but something has quietly turned over. The bank pays you 11 cents of interest that month. 11 cents? And you understand for the first time that money is not a thing you keep in a drawer, it is a thing that works or sleeps, and that the entire game from here forward is a slow war over whose money is working, yours or theirs. You stop that week buying anything that loses value the moment you own it. You sell the Corolla for $800 and buy a cargo van for $2,000 you borrow against the speakers. Hollis tells you at lunch not to quit the warehouse, that steady is steady. You quit the warehouse. He shakes your hand with both of his and says, "Chief, Don't you ever come back here, and it is, to that point in your life, the kindest thing anyone has ever said to you. 03. The 100,000. You are 31. The one van became 3, and then the vans stopped being the point. What you sell is no longer speakers, it is other people's mistakes. The pallets of returned and damaged inventory that enormous retailers pay to make quietly disappear. You buy the disappearing for pennies on the dollar and sell the contents, item by tested item, for dollars. You name the company something deliberately forgettable, Ridgeline Recovery, because you have noticed that boring names get their invoices paid faster than clever ones do. You hire your first real employee, a 19-year-old named Teddy, who tests every single unit and never once lies about a scratch, and you pay him more than you pay yourself, and you never tell him that. The account crosses $100,000 on a night you are too tired to even open the app. When you finally look, 2 days later, it says $103,880. 5 zeros in front of the decimal now, and you catch yourself doing something new. You have stopped counting the dollars and started counting the zeros, the way a sailor stops counting the individual waves and starts counting the swells. You rent your first real space that year, 4,000 square feet off Airport Highway with a leaking roof and a rate of $900 a month, and the first night you stand in it alone with the lights off, listening to the drip land in a bucket Teddy set out. And you feel richer than you will ever feel again, because it is the last building you will own the whole of. You buy your mother a used Camry with 40,000 miles and watch her cry in a dealership in a way she never cried over anything you did as a boy. You pay off Danny's truck without telling him and let him believe it was a billing error at the credit union, because you have already learned that a gift creates a debt and a mystery does not. You meet a woman named Sophia at a friend's wedding in Sacramento, and on the second date you tell her, flatly, exactly how much money you have and exactly how you got it, and she does not flinch and she does not lean in. And you decide in that moment, correctly, that you are going to marry her. You are working 90 hours a week. You do not notice, and will not notice for another full year, that the spiral notebook in the glove box has gone empty. You stopped writing the numbers down the month they got too large to be afraid of. 04. The million. You are 34. Ridgeline is software now, more than it is trucks. You and Teddy built a tool that predicts which returned pallets are worth buying before the retailer has even finished listing them, and it turns out the tool is worth more than everything it will ever predict. A firm in Chicago wires you money to own a slice of it. Real money, the kind that comes with a contract thick as a paperback. The account crosses $1 million on a Tuesday at 2:14 in the afternoon while you are on a conference call about, of all things, parking spaces. 7 digits, 6 zeros. You put yourself on mute. You sit in a leased office in a building you will never own, and you wait to feel like a millionaire, and you wait, and the feeling does not arrive. This is the first real crack, the first sight of the thing nobody warns you about while you are still climbing. The number moved, and you did not. You are the same man who could not pull $40 out of a machine on Sylvania Avenue, except now the machine will hand you anything you ask for. And the wanting, the engine that got you here, did not switch off when the money switched on. It only got quieter and moved somewhere behind your ribs where you cannot reach in and turn it off. Sophia is pregnant. You are in Denver closing the deal when she has the first ultrasound, and you watch the grainy gray video she sends you from a hotel bar alone. At a table set for one, a glass of wine you do not want sweating in front of you, and you tell yourself, clearly, in actual words, that you will make it up to her later. Later becomes a category. Within a year you are keeping most of your marriage in it. You buy a house with a formal dining room you will enter perhaps 4 times, and a bedroom for a child who is coming, and the balance the day you close says $1.2 million, and for 1 hour on a Sunday afternoon, watching Sophia sleep on a couch with her hands on her belly, you feel like you have finally, actually won. Then the wanting wakes up, stretches, and asks you very politely, what's next? 05. The 100 million. You are 40. The firm in Chicago bought the rest of Ridgeline. Then a much bigger firm bought the firm in Chicago. Your small, ugly tool for pricing other people's garbage now runs quietly inside the supply chain of half the country, and on the morning the final deal closes, your ownership converts into a number with 8 zeros behind it, and the wire hits, and your phone lights up with the names of people who have never once called you before and will now never fully stop. $108 million, net, after the lawyers, after a tax attorney named Priya, who saves you $19 million with a single restructured sentence and charges you 2 for it, and is worth every cent. You buy nothing at all for a week. The money is too large to spend, like an ocean you cannot drink. Then you buy everything in a single weekend. The fractional plane hours, the house in Aspen, the apartment in Lisbon you will sleep in 9 nights a year and stand at the window of thinking you should feel something. You fly your father out to see the Aspen house. He walks through all 11,000 square feet of it slowly, with his hands clasped behind his back, like a man moving through a museum he is afraid to be caught touching, and at the end of it, he stands on the deck looking at a mountain he did not climb and says quietly, "It's a lot of house for 3 people." And you hear, inside the sentence he said, the whole sentence he did not. You are 40 years old and standing on a $9 million deck, and you want to hit him, and you want him to say he is proud of you, and you understand you will get neither. Because the thing broken between you was never about money, and money is the only tool you have left in your hands. Sophia stops asking when you are coming home. It is not a fight. It is the quiet after the last fight. Your 2 children, there are 2 now, Mateo and June, call the man who flies everywhere with you Uncle Reggie, and Reggie is your pilot, a good one. And it is Reggie who teaches Mateo to throw a curveball on a runway in Colorado while you take a call in the hangar. The account by now holds more zeros than you have people in your life, and you have begun, without ever once deciding to, keeping the accounts of your life in the wrong column. 06, the billion. You are 47, and you did not make the billion by working. You made it by owning a position in a company whose products you cannot properly describe, which quadrupled in value while you were asleep in Lisbon, which is precisely the thing you first understood at 28 watching 11 cents of interest appear in a checking account, scaled up and up until it turned grotesque. The account crosses $1 billion at 4:14 in the morning, Lisbon time, and you are awake to watch it because you are always awake now, 3 or 4 hours a night in a bed the size of your first apartment. You watch 10 digits assemble themselves on a phone screen roughly the same size as the ATM screen on Sylvania Avenue was, 21 years ago, and you count the zeros the way you once counted single dollars in a Kroger parking lot. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 9 zeros. You have arrived exactly at the number in the title of your own life, and here is what $1 billion actually feels like, so that you never again have to wonder. It feels like nothing. Not emptiness. Emptiness is a feeling. Emptiness aches. This is the plain absence of one. You take a screenshot out of a habit 20 years old, and your thumb hovers over the share button, and there is, you realize, no one to send it to. Sophia lives in the Lisbon house. You live, functionally, in the plane. Danny stopped cashing your checks 2 years ago and mailed the last one back with a note that said only, in pencil, "I'd rather have my brother," and you did not throw the note away. You filed it, actually filed it, in a drawer with contracts, because you no longer have any idea how to receive a thing that is not money. Your father died in March, in a hospital you could have bought. You paid for all of it, and you flew in late from Singapore, and you stood at the back of the room. $1 billion, and you could not buy back the single hour you spent alone at a hotel bar in Denver watching a grainy screen show you the very beginning of your son, and you cannot buy it now. And the zeros just sit there on the glass, 9 of them, each one perfectly round, each one shaped. You notice this at 4 in the morning over an ocean, exactly like a small open mouth that has finally stopped saying your name. 07, the rounding error. You are 56. You have more money than you are capable of losing. Your accountants speak to you in ranges now instead of amounts, because the last 3 zeros move too much from day to day to bother naming. A bad Tuesday in the markets costs you more than the tire warehouse paid Hollis across his entire working life, and you do not feel it land because you have quietly become the thing you spent 30 years fighting. You are the bank now, and the bank does not feel the fee. You fund a hospital wing in Toledo. You put your father's name on the front of it in cut steel letters, which is the closest the 2 of you ever came, in the end, to a conversation. And late one night, in the plane, over the black middle of an ocean, you take out your phone and you look at the balance, 10 digits, 9 zeros. And you do the thing you have not done since you were 28 years old. You count them out loud, alone, in a leather seat that cost more than your first van. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, million, 10, 100, billion. And there, at 56, you finally see the joke that was hiding inside the title of your life the entire time. A 0 is a number that means nothing. That is the whole definition of it. You spent 30 years adding nothings to the end of yourself, and every single one made the total larger. And every single one, taken by itself, meant exactly and precisely nothing. And somewhere in all that adding, the one at the very front of the number, the digit that was actually you, the 26-year-old who wrote every dollar in a pencil notebook because writing it down was the only power he had over his own life, got smaller and smaller against all those zeros until, on the books, in the only ledger you ever really kept, he rounds down into them and disappears. The screen is the same size it always was. The balance behind the 1 has 9 zeros now, instead of none. You press the button on the side and the glass goes dark, and in the dark of it, you can see your own face looking back, lit faintly blue, the way it was lit blue once on Sylvania Avenue. For $18 on a Tuesday in Toledo at 11:40 at night, you knew without any doubt at all whose face that was. You would give a 0 to know it that plainly again. You have 9. You cannot spend a single one of them on this.